Hello, I'm Bobby,
I'm Julia.
and today we're going to be talking about the actual cost of dog and cat food. So, most of you would go to the grocery store, to your pet food store, wherever, and you would think, this bag's $30, that bag's $50. Clearly, the one that's $50 is $20 more expensive. But it's not the reality. Different foods will recommend feeding a different amount. Now, some people think that that's just kind of the company wanting to trick you into feeding more. That's not the case. All pet food guidelines are based on per 1,000 calories. So, what a good food will do is they'll put in tons of nutrient-rich ingredients and little to no filler, and then you don't have to eat much. Whereas the lower quality foods will put in a whole ton of filler, and then you have to eat a whole ton more.
Another thing that you should consider when you're looking at the price of a bag is the size of the bag. Because there's some that are 30 pounds or more, and then there's also some that are 25 pounds or less.
Yeah, some of the marketing heavy companies are going down to like 20. So first off, I apologize to the American audience because I'm going to be using a lot of metric. So to figure out the cost of our food, the best way to do it is the cost per day. So to calculate that, you take the cost of the bag, divide it by the weight of the bag in grams, and then multiply it by the grams per day. So let's say you take a $64.99 bag, weighs 11.4 kilograms, and your dog needs 2 cups. Each cup weighs 110 grams. There will be a fluctuation in cups. If it doesn't say, just go with 100. It's pretty accurate. So that bag of food would cost you $1.25 a day. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So first off, I'm going to use Beneful. If you go to walmart.ca, it's $32.98 for 14.7 kilograms. It's dirt cheap, and most people won't even pretend that it's good food. People buy it because it's cheap. I mean, it's got corn, rice, chicken byproduct, wheat, corn, poultry byproduct.
They're also using beef fat instead of fish oil.
Yeah, poultry and pork digest. Digest apparently in like Europe doesn't mean the same thing as here. Here it basically means that they take the bone and they put it into chemicals that
dissolve it basically.
Yeah, they basically are like an artificial stomach, and so it just like erodes it, and so it smells like vomit because it kind of is.
Some people refer to it as gravy, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. So we're going to be comparing that to a food called Lifetime Grain Free. It's not the greatest food in the world. It's not my favorite food, but it is a great deal. It's $49.99. It's kind of like a lower high-end food. Nothing bad in it, but there's things that they could do to be better. But obviously, then it would be more expensive.
Yeah.
So if you look at the ingredients here, it's none of the like poultry, corns, wheats. I mean, you see a lot of beans. That's just the reality of it being that price point. Using herring oils and chicken and turkey fat instead of like beef fat. So, like I said, not the greatest food in the world, but it's good.
It's got more nutrient-dense ingredients, basically.
Yeah. So, if we're going to compare the price of those two foods, Lifetime is $49.99 for a bag. That's 25 pounds. Beneful is $32.98, and it's doing mental math here, but probably around 35 pounds. So much bigger bag. But on Lifetime, you feed 2 cups a day to a 60-pound dog. On Beneful, you feed 3 3/4. So in reality, costs you $1.05 to feed Lifetime
Per day.
and 84 cents to feed Beneful. Now on top of that, Lifetime has a frequent buyer program, so every 12 you get one free. So at the end of the day, it's minuscule, the difference in price, and it's a significantly better food, which is going to send you to the vet less often, which is going to have them healthier in general. It just, everything would be better feeding a better food.
I actually did the math on if you include the frequent buyer bag, and it's almost the same.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 cents different or something.
Like that, yeah.
So here's another comparison. We're going to be taking Valens here. It's a small Canadian company, so a lot of you wouldn't have heard of it. And we're going to be comparing it to Blue Buffalo's Wilderness Food. I have to use PetSmart's website because the Bayou Blend wasn't showing up on their website. Not sure if it got discontinued or something, but it works for comparison. So Valens, think no marketing really, whereas Blue Buffalo is marketing more than probably anyone.
I watched TV for like an hour today, saw a commercial for it.
So here's the ingredients for Valens. Meat, pretty much. And when you look at the feeding rates, 66-pound dog, 2 cups a day. Now when you see the active and less active, for comparison's sake, always take the less active, because when you're comparing it to a food that doesn't differentiate them, they'll be using less active. When we go over to Blue Wilderness, the ingredients, so when you see the term deboned, fresh, anything like that, that means that they're counting the weight of the water as well. It doesn't necessarily mean there's less of it, but can. So in this case, in all likelihood, there's probably more fish meal, Manhattan fish meal, than there is deboned alligator. And it's even possible that there's more chicken meal than there is alligator. It's hard to say because there is a lot of tricks that you can use. But in general, you'd be safer off calling this Manhattan fish and chicken as opposed to alligator and catfish. And when we look at the feeding guide, it's about 3.5 cups a day for a 60-pound dog. So once again, most people would go into the store and they'd say, well, Valens is $15 more. The end. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, because you're feeding 1.5 cups less a day, it's $1.89 for Valens and $2.62 for Blue Buffalo. So it's significantly less money for the higher quality, more expensive food. And that's not factoring in things like vet bills and all that as well. So once again, I'll throw up the calculator for you, but basically what I want you to take away is to go into the store and look at more than just the buzzwords and things like that. Actually study it.
Yeah, you can tell a lot about a food if you just look at their feeding guide. Because if it's around 2 cups for a 60-pound dog, that means it's extremely nutrient dense compared to something that's over 3 cups.
Yeah, there's a couple companies that sneak by. What they'll do is they'll just fill it full of fats, and that'll crank up the calories, and then they'll stick in a bunch of like vitamin and mineral packs and stuff like that. So there is a sketchy way around it, but you should be able to tell just looking at it. The other thing that I get a lot that is a concern to me is people say, well, I just switched from the more expensive food to the cheaper food and kept feeding them the same amount. Yeah. That's really dangerous, because if you're feeding significantly less than the bag recommends, then they're going to get malnourished. They're going to end up with a lot of deficiencies. And the other thing that I hear that kind of goes along with that is, well, if I feed the amount that it tells me, then they'll get fat. That's just reality of eating a high-carb diet. I mean, if you go and you make a sandwich and then you throw on 2 more slices of bread, you're going to get fatter than you would if you ate just a sandwich. So it's really important to consider the quality of a food. Some people think they're all the same, and that's just not true at all. There's a world of difference. And I highly recommend find someone you can trust. Find someone at your local store that's knowledgeable, that has lots of experience, that can kind of educate you as opposed to just trying to sell you whatever's most expensive, whatever you've heard of, things like that. A lot of the time it's the smaller companies that do the better job.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I hope that was useful information, and please help spread the word. Thank you.